you could sum up the project in a word, what would you say?
I would say connectedness.
Inclusivity.
It's been stressful but worth it.
It's the lifeblood of the community.
The RAM programme is a unique approach in Northumberland, bringing together rural economic growth and environmental stewardship agendas for the first time in terms of partnership and delivery on the ground. The Rural Asset Multiplier programme is particularly important for Northumberland because not only is it bringing together activity around rural economic growth and environmental stewardship, but it's doing it particularly in a place, in communities. For us, the overall outcome that we wanted to achieve through the Rural Asset Multiplier programme was to give communities the opportunity to invest in key priorities in order for them to be able to continue to make the most of those assets in the long run. So there weren't short-term projects, there were projects that would have an impact beyond the life of a funding programme.
We've used the ramp funding to convert the threshing barn into an arts and wellbeing hub. This experience has proved that actually investment breeds investment. By having the threshing barn as an arts and wellbeing hub is just part of the community offer, and we just want the village to be a nicer place to be. It starts to feel like that there's a heart in the village.
The ramp funding for NCC solar powered building project has been critical at this time because it is early days for NCC and we're putting in our first installations across Northumberland. It's really got NCC off onto a great footing, really launched the project and started us on that curve of learning. We're now an attractive possibility and to draw in more funding to help more halls on into the future.
With the ramp funding, we have put this towards creating a changing places toilet that is available for people to use when they visit Bamborough, not just the walled garden. Accessibility is something that we believe very strongly about. Every element of this space is fully accessible because we don't believe that anybody should be excluded. I think really we can never stop pushing to be more accessible and to make Bamborough a destination that everyone can enjoy regardless of your accessibility requirements.
Overall feedback has been extremely positive from participants in the project, and a lot of the stakeholders that were involved in the initial design have really welcomed the approach. We had 44 applications for funding out of one call for projects. Some of the initial statistics that we've seen include jobs created. There has been improvement in key assets such as 2 footpaths improved, 3 car parks that have been improved in terms of visitor access facilities, 3.5 kilometres of cycle track that have been improved, 1,400 trees that have been planted, but really a lot of the outputs and the outcomes will come in the next year and in future, including around 200 to 300 volunteering opportunities, an improvement in health and well-being, a number of training opportunities, and we can build on that for the future.
For us in particular, the ramp funding has been absolutely key because it's allowed us to access salary for staff that we would have found difficult to fund elsewhere. I think there's plenty of evidence that having somewhere for people to go is really important, and particularly in rural areas where there's a real problem with loneliness. Many other rural places that don't have a hub would also benefit from the same sort of funding as we've had, to have their own community shop or a hub of some place that people can really get together, that brings the community together.
Our ramp project is all around interpretation and access to Northumberland Coast National Landscape. I think rural areas are absolutely crucial, and I think particularly Northumberland, we have huge rural areas. Those rural areas are really important for our future. I think we expect rural areas to contribute to nature recovery, contribute to climate change agendas, and contribute to things like wellbeing agendas. So it's really important we fund projects in rural places if we're expecting those places to give us so much.
Our rural economy is particularly big in Northumberland, just thinking about the size. So it is important for us to be able to support both rural business support, but also provide support for communities to build on our assets around rural economic growth, but also how we care for our environment in a coordinated approach. If I was to sum up the Rural Asset Multiplier in a couple of words, would be a rural exemplary project, because that's what Northumberland is. We are a rural exemplar.